Think we're done yet?
Yes, we are.
On our way to carbon-neutral mobility for all with the all-new ID4, 100% SUV, 100% electric. Search Volkswagen ID4. Volkswagen.
Sales coach and motivational speaker Ron Garverick has made the journey from poverty to wealth in his own life, and his passion is to help you in your success journey as well. His methods are proven because he lives them daily, and you can too. Introducing Ron Garverick.
Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast. I am your host, Ron Garverick. Thank you for being on this evening, this morning, this afternoon, whenever you decide to log into YouTube or listen to all the platforms of the podcast that you can get on several of the platforms like iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify. You get it on Apple, Breaker, you name it, you can get it on there. Audible, Amazon, wherever you can listen to the podcast, it is on there. And I want to thank you for joining me today. One of my guests on this show, the funny thing is we lived and grew up and graduated in the same city or town or podunk, whatever you want to call it, in Liberal, Kansas. Now, this individual, he and I never hung out, but we did have a mutual friend. He knew of me, I knew of him, and good things were said about each other from this mutual friend. And we both left the city or that town. I wouldn't call it a city. Big cities like Dallas and Oklahoma City and LA, New York, those are cities. But this place was home. Now, yes, I consider it a black hole now, and I wouldn't go back if my life depended on it. I think the last time I actually went back to my hometown where I graduated was on my 20th class reunion. So I'm showing my age there a little bit, but this individual left, and he decided he was going to live up in Lawrence and sell cars. He got out of the car business, started selling jewelry, ran into a finance manager at a dealership, and got asked to come work there again, or got asked to work at a dealership. And long story short, he is a manager at Subaru of Wichita. Now, Wichita, Kansas, mind you, not Wichita Falls, Texas. He's married with two boys, 5 and 2 months old. He's been at Subaru for 5 years. He was the first 3 years on the sales floor where he was the top salesman. So we still have something in common. I was the top salesman there at my dealership when I first started. The last 2 years, though, he's been the sales manager and team leader, influencer. He does the primary responsibilities, including, closing deals, hiring, firing, training, ensuring that the culture of the store is upheld. So with further ado, I want to introduce this gentleman, and I don't have my little sound effects like some podcasters do, but we would give him a round of applause. So here we go. Let's introduce you to AJ Owens. Hey, AJ, how are you doing this evening, this morning, or this afternoon?
Doing great, Ron. Thanks for having me on.
It's funny how, like I was saying before, we grew up in the same town. Now, when did you actually move to Liberal?
I lived in Liberal from 8th grade through community college, so for about 7 years.
Great. And when did you decide to leave? What year?
I left Liberal in 2008.
Okay. You left about 2 years before I did. And we have, a mutual friend. I gotta plug his name because I know he's going to listen to the show, and I know he's going to go, they better say my name. So Larry, the Buzzsaw Busby, I know you're listening out there, man. I know this was something that you were looking forward to So hats off to Larry Busby. He's got a good heart. He's got a good soul. He's very supportive, and for you and myself, he's he's a all around good guy. He'd give the shirt off his back for you, and I know several times he has for me when I was down in the dumps and needed someone to stick by me. So Larry was always there. Larry always took care of me. He's crazy. He's lovable. And he's like a brother to me. And I love him and his mother. And, if you're looking for that perfect person that you need to talk to cry on, to just all around bullshit, you could always call on Larry Busby. And, I met him in high school when he was like 200 pounds lighter. And he would laugh about that. We were both skinnier back then, but just, his persona. We both liked wrestling. We both liked drinking beer and hanging out and having fun and football. And so, Larry, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support for both myself and AJ. And
Thanks,
we love you.
I love you, brother. Yeah.
And we'll always be there for you. So enough about Larry, because we can go on a tangent about Larry Busby, but let's get on with the show. So like I said, we lived and grew up in the same town, but we didn't hang out. And how crazy are it now? So many years later, we have connected, and we're in the same industry. We're in the car business. Not very many people can say the same thing, that we're in the car business. So my question to you is, how did you get in the car business and why?
The car business kind of came to me, and it came to me in a couple different times out of necessity in life. The first time, I was living up in Lawrence, and I was just enjoying myself as a young guy, and I met a girl who's now my wife, and she had to get a kidney transplant, and so unfortunately she had to move suddenly from Lawrence back to Wichita, and I was kind of stuck in a lease, broke, making $10 an hour, trying to figure out what I want to do with life. Somebody told me, hey, you should come sell cars. It's a good way to make quick money and get yourself in a position that you can move down to Wichita and go back to school. That was my original game plan. And I did that. I moved down to Wichita. After about a year in the car business, I was able to afford to buy myself out of my lease and get myself an apartment and set myself up. And I left the business. I thought that was all the car business had for me. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to go on and do something else. 5 years later, I had gone to school. I had a newborn. I was not making $10 an hour, but still not making enough money to support a family. And one day in walked a guy that I sold an engagement ring to, and he happened to introduce himself as a finance director and said, hey, I'm going to call you and you're going to come work for me. And, that was 5 years ago, and it was the best decision that I've ever made. It's definitely changed my family's life, changed my life, and been probably the best move that I could have made for my family, for myself at the time.
People think about getting in the car business. They don't know the dedication you have to take, the long hours, the different moods that you deal with customers. And a friend of mine, his name's Jody Holland. He has taught me how to read faces, to read the nose, read the lines on the forehead, the flatness or roundness of the forehead, the lips, the smile, the ears. And the book is very interesting. If you haven't read it, go to Facebook, find Jody Holland, and purchase his book. You can get it on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon, and then I had him sign it. But first of all, I just want to say this is an all-exclusive podcast sponsored by Dealer Elite, the most recognized auto social network in the world. Sign up right now and engage with the best and brightest in our industry. Street Volkswagen of Amarillo is also a sponsor. They have the new ID4 all-electric SUV. They are electrifying America as we speak. The all-new ID4 and Garv Automotive Training for BDC, finance, sales, and management training. Go to www.garv, that's Garv as in Victor, automotive.com. Subscribe to the training, and I guarantee you will increase your grosses and your commissions within 1 week. So back to normal. So you told the people, the millions of listening all over the world or watching right here on YouTube, you told a little bit about yourself, but who is AJ Owens? What makes you one of the top managers in Wichita, Kansas?
I'd be honest with you, Ron. I've been doing this for 2 years, and I learn new stuff every day. And I think that that's probably what makes me successful. But I'm definitely not where I'm going to be. One of the things that was taught to me my very first go around in the automotive business was that if you keep your ear to the ground, you're always going to learn something new every day. And I had a great corporate trainer at that point in my life that really had a positive impact on me as a person. And I've been able to take a lot of the things that I've learned in the car business to make me a better husband, a better father. And I think if you pay attention to some of those skill sets that you learn and you can positively put it into the outside world of your life outside of the business, basically, I mean, this whole industry can really consume you and become who you are, and in a great way. You know,
Some of the things that we've looked in the automotive industry is you sacrifice. And I remember when I first got into the automotive industry that when I got hired, I was promised the world. And what they didn't do was do any kind of training. You know, I got hired and they said, that's a computer. That system in there is called a CRM. It's a customer relation management tool, which has all the customers that I need you to call and convince them to come in and buy a car. Out there, that's called a lot. It's called a parking lot. It's called where you go out there and you chase customers around and you bring them inside and you try to sell them a car. That was all the training that I got. They didn't do any sitting down. Hey, when a customer says this is what you say. It was all hands-on training. Now, I remember back in the day when my dad was a truck driver, and he told me one time, he was like, all these guys that are going to the VOTEC and they're learning how to drive trucks, they're taking all the tests, they're reading all the books. He goes, but they're not going to learn anything till they get out on the road. And then that's where they're going to get their experience. So he was so spot on on any kind of work job related. The training you're going to get is hands-on training. So there was time I couldn't sell a car, but once on a Saturday for so long, I married up with another salesman, a veteran salesman. His name was Larry the Bull Curtis. We called him Bull. We married up. I'd go and get the customers. I'd bring them inside. I'd get all the information from them. I'd check their credit, make sure they can even buy, then go back outside and find the vehicle for them. Bring them back inside once they love the car, bring them back inside, work some numbers. Then I would hand the sheet to him. Then he would go out and he would close the deal. And he got the nickname Bull because he was a bully. So we did this about 6 months, and new GM came in. He goes, what the hell are you guys doing? I said, we're married up, man. We're trying to sell cars. We're making money here. And he goes, no, you guys need to start selling your own cars individually. No more of this married up crap. I was like, all right, cool. The first full year, I will remember at the end of April, I outsold him. I sold 18 cars. He sold 12. He quit. I can't let a green pea beat me. And he walked out. So, at the time we only had like 3 salesmen. One was pathetic, Bull and myself. Bull quit. The other one got fired. For 2 weeks, I was the only salesman on this lot for the month of May. Now, everybody knows month of May is one of the most busiest time of the year when it comes to selling cars. And what got me was every time they would bring somebody in, it would be a veteran. Well, I'd outsell the veteran, then they'd quit. So then we just had to bring in new green peas. We had to bring in a whole new staff and teach them how to sell cars. And so that being said, it was crazy because I couldn't sell any cars. And every time I would take a manager TOs, you go to a manager and you turn over the deal so he can close the deal for you. And, I'd say, hey, boss, these folks want you to pay for the tax title and license. Okay, where are they at? They're sitting at my desk. Okay. He'd walk out there. Hey, Shane Cox, general manager here. See that you wanted me to pay for your tax title license. And they'd go, yeah. And he would go, yeah, that's ridiculous. You know what? If you want me to pay for your tax title license, you just need to get the hell off my lot right now, because that's ridiculous. That is the stupidest thing I ever heard. And it would offend them. And they're like, okay. And they pick up their belongings and, yeah, you just go out that door and get back in your vehicle that you were in and get the hell off my lot. I'd follow the customer outside. And I'm like, Mr. Customer, I'm so sorry that, I really wanted to sell you this car. And they're like, you know what? You would have sold the car. We would have bought the car from you. All we asked is if you paid for the tax title license. We didn't need him coming out and cussing at us like that. That is so disrespectful. Who does that? And who does that if they want a customer to earn their business? I said, absolutely. I'm so sorry. Customer leaves. I'd go walk into the finance department and I'd go, Andy, man, I can't have him keep talking like that to my customers. Why is he doing it? Why, does he want me to quit? Does he not want me to sell cars? I go, I can't get up and ask him for a TO if he does that every time.
Yeah.
And I said, so what do I do? He goes, you need to learn how to close your own deals. Now, Andy's not in the car business anymore, and I really think that he should be. But those words right there, you need to learn how to close your own deals. And I said, how? He goes, you're going to have to figure it out. So that night I went home. I grabbed my phone. I laid in bed. I went to YouTube, and I think this is the first time ever that I ever knew what YouTube was. And I typed in how to sell a car at a car dealership. Yep. And Mr. Jim Ziegler popped up, 45 minutes, 48 seconds on how to sell a car in the car business. And then right there from there was Steve Richards, Sean Bradley, Corey Mosley, Alan Dickey, Hardcore Closer, Ryan Stewman. All these videos started popping up. And I swear I wore my hand out writing everything down and going over the video over and over and over and over, trying to learn how to sell cars. My first full year, man, it was all about product knowledge. I needed to know how everything worked, listen to the customer, know what their hot buttons were, and then get into, all right, now I know how to sell the cars by the product. Now, the second year, how can I utilize that and make more money? From utilizing and making more money, then I needed to, all right, now how do I sell the same amount of cars and make more money? Not just being a volume salesman, but being a volume and growth salesman. How do I do that? So I learned how to do all that my third year. Then my fourth year, in the middle of my third year, boom, I'm the general manager of that store. And what I try to do, what you're trying to do is you're trying to teach these guys the easy way, because I'll ask you in a minute, that we didn't have it easy. And now we're trying to train. That's why I got Garv Automotive. That's why I'm doing these podcasts. That's why I'm doing all this stuff, because I want to teach and train and counsel and coach guys in the automotive industry the easy way so they can start making money now, not 2, 3, 4 years down the road. Now, did you get trained properly, or were you thrown out to the wolves and said, you know what, either survive or die? I don't really care.
I had a really fortunate benefit. When I worked in Lawrence, I worked with a group of salesmen that had actually been lured back in. They were, guys in their 60s and 70s who had actually retired from that particular building when it was a Honda store, and the new owner of it was bringing in a Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge franchise, and he actually hired back some of the familiar faces to come back into the storefront. And those guys weren't interested in chasing lot ops. They were kind of like you mentioned with Bull. They were, hey, go greet this guy, bring him into me. And really, you and I both kind of similar backgrounds. You and I couldn't afford to fail. And not everyone's like that, but you and I had to sit there and we had to figure out where to find the information. We had to seek it out ourselves. We had to source it. Countless hours of listening to Zig Ziglar on CD, and I've listened to Dale Carnegie for the first 3 months. I played no music on my stereo going to and from work. It was all motivation, sales training, things to make me better. And I sought all of that out. I've had some really great influences on me, but you're right. In this business, traditionally, you're seeing so many people. I step back and I can't imagine how many good, qualified people this business's life, it could have changed their life like it did for you and I, but they were basically broomed out because no one cared to structure training, to care about the dedication of the training. It was on to the next one. I'm not going to be beat by a green pea. Well, there's another green pea right around the way. Why don't you build yourself up up here and have a team and have a culture? That's really what I'm striving for right now in my career, is how do I become the better me, the better trainer, the better manager, to bring up the next group of people to be like me, to find that. And they may not be people that can't afford to fail. They may be people that if they were treated like you or I were, thrown to the wolves, here's the lot, here's the keys, go figure it out. They're going to go figure it out somewhere else. And we're going to lose really good, talented, smart individuals from this industry. And that's the next generation that keeps this alive. Those are the guys that I want working for me someday when I'm a GM as my sales manager. And really, it's just a broader picture when it comes to training people and how you interact with them. You actually have to care.
And it's all about caring and, knowing, not just being, and I hate the word manager because anybody can be handed a title, right? But who's going to be the leader? Who's going to train other leaders? Not train followers, train other leaders. Because, plenty of times people have told me, Ron, even my wife has told me, Ron, they all can't be like you. Well, I don't want them to be like me. I want them to be better than me.
Yeah.
And it's that culture that, when they come in the morning, the first thing you don't do is go, all right, how many appointments you got set up today? What do you got going on? What about that customer that you had in last night? When are they coming back in? Why didn't they buy? What numbers did they agree to? No. Hey, good morning. How are you doing? How was your night last night? How's the family? How are they doing?
Yes.
How's the kids? You know what? You've been working 12 hours straight for 6 days in a row. I really think you need to take the weekend off. Who does that? Who tells their salespeople, hey, take the weekend off? You got 12 cars out on the 8th, man. Just go ahead and take this weekend off. Enjoy time with your family. Because if you ain't happy at home, you're not going to be happy at work.
100%.
And, I worked 6 days a week, didn't take a vacation, let my wife go to Disney, let her go to Yellowstone, let her go visit her grandparents in Michigan, let her go to Red River and go camping. And I stayed home. People were like, why do you do that? And I go, because if I don't, the money she's spending, I'm going to have to, double up when we get back. So I'm going to let her go on vacation. I'm going to let her have fun. I'll just sit here and make my money and sell my cars. But the bad part about that was I was on this ego trip that I had to be number one. So I missed Yellowstone. I missed Disney. Not technically, a couple of years later I went, but I missed all these opportunities to spend time with my family, with my daughter getting older and becoming a teenager. So you never ask how everything's going. You don't start the day in the morning, you get a cup of coffee, and then you have a meeting going, so what are we doing today? Oh, you don't have an appointment? Oh, geez, you piece of shit. You didn't do anything
What'd
right.
you do yesterday?
Yeah. And so I always have my guy. We have our little huddle at 8:30 in the morning. After that's done, it's one-on-ones, man. It's just like, so how are you feeling? I can't sell a car. I've done everything you taught me to do, and they're not doing this and they're not doing that. I can't get a customer convinced. And I'm like, man, you're getting in your own way.
Yeah.
When you stop making excuses, you'll start finding your results. You've got to get out of your own way. So what's bothering you at home? And it works wonders when you actually care and start asking them about their personal life instead of saying, before you walk through that door, you better leave that shit out there. That's not going to work. But if they know that you care, everybody knows I'm an asshole. They'll tell you, Ron's an asshole. He don't want to listen to your excuses. But I do sit down every morning. As soon as I wake up, I make a cup of coffee and I send them all a text message individually of a motivational quote. And, you'll get some giving you praise hands or thumbs up, or, hey, I really needed that this morning. I was feeling like shit. I didn't think, I should be coming to work because I can't sell a car. And they all start going, man, I really appreciate everything that you do. And it's that I don't want any acknowledgement. I just want them to be better because I feel bad for them when I see when they first start, they're deers in the headlights. They're just like, oh crap, what did I get myself into? And I was the same way. I was like, is this what I really need to do? Man, I was out searching for another job.
Yes.
And finding out that a job is just over broke. And I was like, I never give up on anything. I'm going to master this. And whatever happens after was meant to be. I never looked at that I was going to be a GM of my own Ford store. I just wanted someone at that store that cared enough to make me $15,000, $20,000 a month. And that individual was not that person. But then, oh boy, Ron became GM because when Ron was selling cars, all Ron cared about was Ron.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the other four guys that were selling cars. Ron was going to get his big piece of the pie. Screw these other guys. Then when Ron became GM, I was like, oh shit. I got these other four guys that are having problems selling cars, and they're the ones that are going to make me money. So, we came in at 9:00 over the other GM. Then when I became GM, it was 8:00. 8:00, I need you in the dealership. 8:00 to 9:00, we're going to train. I'm going to teach you what to say. I'm going to teach you how to say it. And I'm going to teach you how to recognize the hot buttons of a customer when it comes to the product. And every single day, Monday through Saturday, we came in an hour early and I trained for that whole hour. Yeah, it was boring. Yes, it was probably meaningless at that time. But Joel can tell you right now, he is not the salesman that he is because he did it all on his own. When I brought him in and we started doing this other training here at this dealership, he voluntarily came to the training because people are like, man, that shit don't work. And he's like, no, listen, it did. I believe everything that he says, because I was once in your shoes and I said the same thing. This ain't going to work. This is stupid. He goes, I guarantee if you do everything he says, you're going to make lots of money. And so it's the culture. It's that manager title should be sales influencer, used car influencer, not, or used car man or leader, or new car leader, finance leader. That manager title comes out as a negative and it needs to be thrown away, and leader or influencer needs to be in place of it. Culture is maintain in conditions suitable for growth. And I believe that's what you're trying to do, is grow and build a culture inside your dealership to do the exact same things that you want to be done as an influencer in your store. So next question is, what do you think the perception is for someone in the automotive industry? And what do you think the customer perception is when they see someone in the automotive industry? And it could be in the store or out of the store. Now, we've watched plenty of movies like Used Cars and Suckers, and what couple of those other ones, Die Hard or
Car Dogs.
Car
Of course.
Dogs.
Yeah, great entertainment.
They give the perception that we are liars, cheaters, manipulators, crooks, womanizers, drug addicts, con artists. But, we're right there on the bottom with a dentist and a lawyer. I mean, people would rather get a root canal than go buy a car at a car dealership. That's why you got your Carvanas. That's why you got your Vrooms. What do you think the perception that a customer sees us in the car business, and what do you think the salesman or manager, whoever, thinks our perception is in the automotive industry?
The customers, I mean, the perception of the customers is and I think that the car business in particular, like you mentioned, we're looked at based on some of the stereotypes that have existed in the past, and rightfully so. Honestly, previous generations of guys that do what we do, there was a lack of transparency for customers. There was a lack of available information for customers. That stuff has changed in this business. Readily available on your phone in front of you, sitting at a dealership. You've got your book values. You've got, if you're dishonest with a customer, they can call you out on it, and rightfully so. An educated buyer is a happy buyer. So transparency is very important, and sincerity is important. You actually have to care when you're dealing with people, and it's very easy to win over a customer and to change that perception. And honestly, that's one of the most fulfilling things as a salesperson that I experienced, was being able to change that perception of a customer walking in full guard up to that customer that 6 months later was asking for you to say hello when they came in for their first oil change. Where's AJ at? I want to see how he's doing. I want to talk to him about how I'm liking my car. I've been very fortunate to have many families that I've worked with that have not just been customers of mine, but now they're the repeat customers of those young guys that I'm training, and I'm teaching those guys how to handle those families, and they become friends. They become people that I actually care about and that care deeply about me. Breaking down that wall is a very fulfilling aspect of this career. The perception of us, and you tell your friends, you tell your family, you tell your guys you went to high school with, I'm in the car business, same exact thing. But when they look at what this business has been able to provide for me and my family, and I don't care what they think of me. I'm an honest guy that goes to work at a good place and a profession that I can be proud of and hold my head up high. And it's provided a wonderful life for me and my family, more so than anything else I could think of to go do. And that's all me. That's all internal. I get to be proud of what I do because I know how I do it. And that's the biggest thing to me is, do you sleep with yourself at night? Because I don't sleep with those people. I sleep with me.
Exactly. And I've told salesmen that plenty of times. I was like, listen, Joe's not going to pay your bills. Christian's not going to pay your bills. John's not going to pay your bills. So you got to a certain point, it's the survival of the fittest. But on the other hand, we've got to take care of one another. And, you were saying people's perception on us, friends' perception on us. If you watch those movies, you think, and you're like, man, is that what people really think about us? That we're liars, we're cheaters, we're manipulators, we're womanizers, we're shady, we're just trying to rip people's head off. And maybe 80s, 90s, back in the day, that's what they tried to do. People before there was any MSRPs or window stickers on the cars. How much is this car? You could sell it for 10 grand over book. You can sell it for 10 grand over sticker, and nobody ever know. Then the government got involved, and the government's like, no, we're not going to play this game. You're going to treat everybody fair. You're gonna have a sticker that's going to shows all the options of the vehicle, and you're going to have that price.
The consumer became protected.
Yeah, manufacturers suggested retail price. Put it on there, and you sell it from there. And of course, there's rebates and incentives and all this other yada 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 stuff. And we'll talk about that some other day. Going, if they think their car's worth $11,500 less, why didn't they just price it at that, right? But everybody's got to make money. So, my perception was, I didn't want to be that kind of person. And off the show, before we got on, I was telling you how this has changed my life. And if I would have known about the car business over 20 years ago, this is where I would have been. I would have not pursued going after trying to become an entertainer, trying to be a comedian or whatnot, because when I first moved to Dumas, Texas, I was making $1,500 a month. I started working at a funeral home, picking up dead bodies at $100 a pop. I was picking up 2, 3 at a night. Then I would go in the morning and I would help the funeral director dress the body and put the body into the casket. He would pay me another $100. Now I was living off Hamburger Helper 5 nights a week. I can't even look at a box of Hamburger Helper and go, oh my God, this is about to make me sick. So after doing that and learning how to survive, and when people stopped dying, I stopped getting phone calls to come pick up bodies. So I had to go and start selling newspaper advertising again and talking about a dying business. Newspapers dying also. So I went to a car dealership and I asked them if they wanted to advertise, and they said, yes, we want to advertise salesmen. Long story short, being in the car business, I was making $38,000 a year and thought that was making a lot of money. Now, you and I both know when we look at someone's credit at $38,000 a year, we're like, good God, they're in poverty. But when I first seen, in August of 2012, and I got a $28,000 check, I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, we're going to Colorado Springs, man. We're going to have fun. And seeing $28,000 in gross commission. Now, I got taxed out the ass on it, but just seeing that on my paycheck as a salesperson, I went from living in a 2-bedroom trailer to get into a 3-bedroom house with a yard. A year later, 2 years later, bought my first home. I had credit enough to buy my own home. And I thought I was living big. $96,000 a year was a huge upgrade from where I was. And when I finally broke $100,000 a year, I was blown away. I was like, who didn't tell me about this?
Yeah.
No one told me that I can make as much money as I possibly can if I just put my mind to it and start learning and educating myself and becoming that person that I never thought I could become. Selling newspapers, advertising, and making 38 grand a year to making over $100,000 a year in the automotive industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, everybody in this world needs a car. Their children needs a car. Wife needs a car. Husband needs a car. So everybody to get from point A to point B needs a car. What else do they need? A cell phone. But you don't make over $100,000 a year selling cell phones. So last year, when I decided to up my income, I bought a $450,000 house with my own office, 4-bedroom. And I'm not trying to brag, but what I'm trying to get at is there is no limit in what you can make in the automotive industry. I went from poverty to success. Like Larry Busby has always said when he imitates Dusty Rhodes. I've wined and dined with kings and queens and slept in alleys eating pork and beans. And that's what I did. I didn't sleep in alleys, but I did eat pork and beans, and I was laying on other people's couches before I got in the car business. I was living in my car before I got in the car business. When I was looking to buy this house, I was like, there is no way. I do not deserve living here. From where I was to where I am now within the short amount of time, the car business has been my savior. Where I was in my life living to now is 100% plus improvement because of the car business. So if you're listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if this is my kind of business. I don't know if I want this as my job. It's not a job, it is a career. It is a life-changing event.
Most definitely.
You could sell real estate also, but when people are not buying houses, like right now down here, this is a buyer's market. And no one is selling their house. And if they are, they're overselling right now for thousands more than what the house is worth. But the market is desperate enough for it. So if you don't think that this is the opportunity for you, that you can go and work 30 hours a week at $10 an hour, $15 an hour, and you think that's good enough because you want your free time, you need to worry about what you're doing now and saving later, because if the economy falls, what are you going to do? If you don't have money invested in a savings account, in 401k, in stocks or real estate, and you're worried about your free time so you can play your video games and go skateboarding. This is what you and I, AJ, have to instill in these individuals' heads, that you have to get better. You have to think about the future. You have to have a financial plan, not a monthly budget. Every Saturday when you get off of work and you go to the gentleman's club or you go out to the bar and you get drunk and get wasted, and you wake up Sunday morning and you're like with this massive headache and you're recovering because before you even go to work on Monday, that is not building your future. So that's what AJ and myself and all these other trainers out there are trying to do, is embed in your head that you have to plan for the future, because nobody is going to do that for you. You have to do it yourself. And I am so sorry to realize it now, and I didn't realize it when I was in my 20s, or my early 30s saying, you know what, you got to get your head out of your ass. You got to build a future, because you could be that 98-year-old man in Walmart asking somebody if they want a buggy. Right?
Very true.
So if you're looking to build a future for you and your family, if you're thinking about being financially stable, the car business is, you don't have to get an education. With real estate, you have to take real estate classes. You've got to take the exam so you can make lots of money. And then you're hoping to God that someone buys a house. There could be months no one buys a house. There could be days or hours for someone to buy a car. And if you treat them right, word of mouth is the best advertisement out there. You spend little money and you get big results. I know dealerships. I know right now we spend $60,000, $70,000 a month on advertising and marketing to let people come to our dealership to buy cars. And the dealer is doing his part. All those customers that are coming in is because of the advertising. But if you treat that one customer right, that one customer may have hundreds of friends and family members that are looking to buy a car. And if you are not marketing yourself, if you are not advertising yourself, then you are doing something wrong. That being said, AJ, what do you think about ownership thinking inside a salesman? This is his business. This is what he does. He's building his own business. So if something falls apart at the dealership that he's at, let's say he's at Subaru, something falls apart and he leaves to go to a Dodge store, he could still take his business, his customers with him. What do you think
Most
about
definitely.
ownership thinking?
Not just the ownership thinking of taking the business that you've built with you. I mean, probably the biggest thing, I've had lots of people that have come through that, I've got people working for me right now that want to be doctors or want to go on to law school, or this may not be the end of the road for them. Part of what I look at as I'm training my guys is the ownership of your own business is not just the ownership of the relationships. It's the ownership of the skill set that you can take away when you put in the time and the effort to study and to get good at what we do. When you take that skill set and I become better at speaking to people, I become better at conveying information, I become better at asking for what I want. I can take that and I can convey it into a million different careers, a million different avenues. Like I mentioned earlier, this business has made me a better person. It's made me a better father. It's made me a better husband because of some of those things that I've taken from it outside of it. And reality, that's when I look at my guys, when I give them something, I'm going to give them that can't be taken away, that 30 years down the line, something that I hopefully have projected into them will affect them greatly, no matter what they're doing or where they're at. And they get to own that.
So, question, why don't salespeople do videos on social media? Why don't they market themselves? Why do you think they don't do that?
A big part of it's fear. It's the psychological hurdles that we deal with in this business, the same psychological hurdle that a new salesman has of, asking for the phone number and what's the last name. It becomes, do I put myself out there? How do I put myself out there? Not knowing how to do it. And then social media is not an immediate result. And people fail a lot of times when they don't have positive people behind them explaining that, you may make 40 different videos before one of them catches, before one of them brings in your first customer, that brings in another customer, that brings in another customer. You may post 15 cars before you get one phone call on something. It's not a game of, put it out there and see immediate results. It's a game of numbers, and it's a game of consistency, and it's a game of doing all of the small things over and over and over again and building those habits that'll do things right.
It's like the law of averages. The more people you see, the more money you make.
100%.
Now, how important is working internet leads? Or do you think being a lot dog is better?
I think that we're getting into a time right now where there's a lot of hybridization going on, where you've got a BDC staff that does really well with keeping consistently followed up with just the influx of traffic of internet leads. The real true calling of a salesman tomorrow is not working internet leads or working the lot. It's going to be working your own self-generated business, which is something that, that's actively right now as a sales trainer and as a manager, I'm looking for avenues to help establish that. How did these guys go out and they don't worry about the lot traffic. They don't worry about the internet leads and the internet advertising and what we're priced at on Car Gurus. They go out and they find their own business because they have every technology and every avenue that didn't exist 20 years ago that can now catapult them to just heights that you and I have probably not even imagined that we're going to see some people doing. Guys like Ollie Rada that have put up the numbers that they've put up over these last few years, they've capitalized on that. You're looking at, Gary Vaynerchuk, hundreds of millions of views. He didn't start with, somebody emailing him asking him to make a video. He started by going out there and doing it on his own and really seeing success and being encouraged of, hey man, that was a great video that you posted, letting them push themselves. Self-generated business it's the more profitable business. It's a better interaction with your customer. And it's definitely what you're going to see in the future.
All right, we got to take a little bit of a break. We'll be right back after these messages.
He has proven methods that really work. If you want to make more money, take these classes. He's intense, truthful, and he knows what he's doing. Check him out.
Ron Garverick, man, where to start with this guy? I've had the pleasure of working under him for the past 4 years. He's my manager up at Street Volkswagen, and it's just been an amazing experience. I came in as a green pea with no experience, and he's went over and taught me a lot of great stuff with the car business, whether it's negotiating, trade appraisals, walkarounds, you name it. He's went over it with me, and I'm super appreciative. He brings a ton to the table, a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience. He's worked the desk. He's worked every position, BDC, sales. He's done everything in the dealership, so he has a wealth of knowledge, and having those credentials behind him really solidifies what he's saying. He knows his shit. He's good at what he does. He's had results. So definitely listen to Rod Garverick, man. I'm very blessed to have him at the dealership and be able to learn from him directly. So tons of good stuff. Can't wait for y'all to check it out.
Hello guys, my name is Joel Marquez, and I highly recommend Ron Garverick sales training because he's very passionate at what he does. Me and Ron have been working together for over 5 years, 2 different dealerships. I went from making $2,000 to $2,500 to pushing over $10,000 a month. Yes, I'm currently over $100,000 year to date in about 8.5 months. I highly recommend you guys take advantage of all his courses. He's great at what he does. Thank you guys. Have a blessed day.
All right, we're back. Thank you for joining us on the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast. Our guest is AJ Owens with Subaru of Wichita, Kansas. AJ, what is one thing you could tell a green pea salesperson that you would think that would change their life in the car business?
Probably the one thing that I can pass on to a green pea salesman is you've really just got to get out of your own way. The barriers that we put in front of ourselves psychologically, the hurdles that we put in front of ourselves of, being scared. Our owner's got a great word that he uses. He says, you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that will definitely change someone's mindset and someone's outlook, and it'll produce a better person and a better interaction. And change somebody's life. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm sorry, Ron, you're muted.
One thing that I tell them is You got to mind your own business. That means focus on yourself and nobody else. Mind your own business, MIND, mind your own business. While you're mining your own business, you're going out trying to find customers, you're trying to find potential people to put in your data so you can sell them cars, referrals, repeat business, stuff like that. And when you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, that you're going to understand this is my business. Nobody else is going to make your paycheck. Nobody else is going to make you one step closer to that financial freedom. Only you. You got to mind your own business while you're mining your own business. So when you wake up in the morning, you can say, this is my business. And in Greenpeace, like you said, you got to get out of your own way. The only way you're going to be able to succeed in the automotive industry is you've got to have a positive mindset. I call it about crap. I'm going to teach you crap. Communication, respect, have a great attitude, and have a positive mindset. There was a book that I read from a while back. It's called The Millionaire Mindset. And it's talking about how being a millionaire and learning how to utilize that in the automotive industry. And I mean, of course, you got books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all your John C. Maxwell books about leadership and stuff like that. But the secrets of the millionaire mindset is one of the books that I highly suggest that you read, because it helps you understand how to make the automotive industry your business. Now, the dealership, they do provide the inventory, the office supplies, and and pay for the utilities. But this is your business. It's whatever you make it. And one of the things that once you get out of your own way and start realizing how you can make money and be successful in the automotive industry. And I don't care from being a salesperson, a manager, a GM, dealer principal. If you start thinking about this as your business, because I know the dealer principal and GM is making this their own business because they're putting all the money in to make profit. But you have to make this your own business. And talking about profit, I know this gets on people's nerves. I know there's some dealerships out there that are volume based. I know there's some dealerships out there that are gross based, but I'm telling you right now, you can't be the highest priced dealership and be able to make money, because you're going to go out of business because you're not going to sell any cars. But if you are the lowest base and you're a volume store and you're just giving cars away, yeah, you're selling lots of cars, but you're not making any money. So you're going to run out of business. So, AJ, should dealerships be a volume-based store, a gross-based store, or both? What are your thoughts on that?
No, you've definitely got to produce the volume. The volume incentivizes the trade-ins, and the trade-ins incentivize the gross. And it's got to be really, I mean, I would tell you that with a good process, with a good culture, with a good trained sales staff, the volume will be there. The volume will show up because the customers will be taken care of. And realistically, the gross will come right along with the volume. It almost handles itself. And that's my perception. I've been in this business for 5 years and definitely not a dealer principal or an owner. I just know from personal experience, when you take good care of people, when you do things the right way, when you've got a good, solid trained sales staff, you can sell volume. You can make gross while selling volume. It doesn't have to be one way or the other, most definitely.
And the good thing about it is when I was at the Ford store, the first store that I was at, I learned to be a gross store. Man, I thought it was great when I was sending messages to the owner, text messages at the end of the night saying, sold 3 cars, made 21 grand front and back. Waiting for that text to come back going, great job, big purrs. And then when I moved to the Volkswagen store, they were giving everything away. And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're losing money. Because at the Ford store, they never told me about the manufacturer sending, if you hit your goal, then they start paying you to sell cars, to sell the new cars. And I was like, okay. So, and I had the ownership thinking, so we're still giving away cars, losing front gross, but getting paid by the manufacturer once we hit our goal. So it just washes out the negative gross that we made, and then we get paid on that, right? Yeah. So why don't we make a little gross on the front, have that money pay off advertising, marketing, floor plan, expenses that we don't need to pay. So when that money comes in from the manufacturer, we'll get more of that piece of the pie than we would if we broke even losing all that money. So it was pounding that in the new car manager's head for so long that I'm like, just give $500 a car. Don't lose any money, but let's make $500 a car and let that money pay for the floor plan, utilities, marketing, and advertising. And so when this other money comes in, we'll make more money. Oh, no, that won't work. We got to put our best foot forward. This is putting our best foot forward because we're not ripping customers' heads off. They're still buying the car. This is by doing it that way, your way, you're telling the customer our car is not worth what we thought it was worth. That's why we're giving you everything away. But if we say, you know what? This car is priced the way it's priced due to the fact it has a sunroof, it has leather interior, it has the navigation, it's got those new wheels and tires that are on there. We're devaluing the car when we give everything away, and we're the lowest price Volkswagen store in America. But if you make a little bit of money, and customers don't care if you make a little money, but it helps pay the bills and it doesn't take out of our pocket. Oh yeah, I'm right there with you when it comes to trade appraisals. If you're not doing a walk around on a vehicle, salesman, if you're not doing a walk around on a vehicle and showing the customer the scratches, the cracked windshield, they know it's there. They're going to tell you, oh yeah, it's being behind those semi trucks, the rocks fly up, hit your windshield. They know. But if they're buying a used car, they're going to devalue it. They're going to tell you, oh, it's got a scratch right there, take another $1,000 off. What, ladies and gentlemen, what vehicle that has a 4-inch scratch is worth taking $1,000 off? It's not heard of. But they want to devalue our car. But God forbid, don't go over there and look at my trade-in and see the big, huge dent on the back where you got drunk and drove and hit somebody. Don't let me tell you that's $1,000 hickey. But my little 4-inch scratch, you think that's $1,000 hickey. It's just fair. Once you go there and look at their vehicle while they're depreciating your vehicle, we're priced online because of that scratch. We're priced online because of that little ding. So we already justified the price because of that damage. Now, if you would like it fixed, we can absolutely get that done for you. But it's going to be a little bit more on the price. Now, is the price worth the scratch being fixed, or do you just go ahead and take it as is? But there's so many salesmen that I watch. I'm like, why aren't you out there looking at their trade? Why are you waiting for the inventory manager to go out there and do the appraisal? You should take the customer out there so they can tell you a story about the vehicle that they're trying to trade. You tell them, tell me a story about it. There's a reason why you bought it. Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it. Tell me how you want the next vehicle to be different. Oh, the gas mileage? Yes, absolutely. This vehicle you're looking at right now is going to have prestige gas mileage on the highway. Oh, you want comfort? Man, just wait till you get inside and sit down on these nice comfort leather seats. Oh, it's safety. Man, did we tell you about the beams on this new vehicle where you can go 120 miles an hour and get into a wreck and still walk out without a scratch? Some cars out there, you only get tested with 70 miles per hour. If you do that with your customer and do an appreciation of the car, selling the value, get off price. Why is everybody always stuck on price when it comes to the vehicle? Let's sell value. Let's sell the hot buttons. Then price really doesn't matter if you fit their needs and find the exact vehicle for them. How many times, AJ, have you had problems with salesmen going, hey, what's the price on this vehicle? And they didn't do a proper presentation of the car.
Oh, most definitely, or even seeing the car, hey, what's the price on this car that's out here? Have you guys even walked around the car? Have you even gone and opened a door? Do we even know if that's a car that they're even remotely interested in? Let's go put hands on it. Let's go drive it. Let's go build the value. Because you're 100% right. You have a customer that buys a car every 6 years. When he's out here looking at a car today, is he a little bit sticker shocked versus what that car, he paid 6 years ago for a car? Most definitely. We have to show him a reason why cars are more expensive today than they were 6 years ago. Most definitely when you get into a newer car today and it's going to stop and keep you from getting into an accident, and it's going to keep you in your lane and have speed adaptive cruise control and all of the multitude of safety features and new technology that's almost becoming standard in the industry, it's worth money. It's worth paying for. You just got to show it to the customers. They don't know to look for it. That's why we're salesmen, not clerks.
I like back in the day, a customer goes, how much is this car? How much is this car? And how much is this car? So you go back into the dealership in the sales tower and go, hey, boss, customer wants to know about these 3 vehicles and what the prices are. And he goes, are they buying all 3? No. Then why? So I learned to say, let me ask you a question, Mr. Customer. If all 3 vehicles were free, which one would you take home today? Well, I'd take that one home. Great. Let's work numbers on this one. Let's go for a test drive. Let's see if it fits your needs. Then if all goes well, we'll go back inside. I'll give you every bit of information you want. Price, payment, down payment, trade, whatever, interest rate, whatever numbers you want. But my job here is to make you fall in love with the vehicle, take it for a test drive, bring it back in, and I'll work all the numbers. If this ain't the one for you, then we'll go try the other one out. But I need to figure out which one is going to work best for you, because I guarantee you we're not going to miss you on price. We're not going to miss you on payment, but we could miss on finding the right vehicle for you. But so many salesmen want to start skipping steps. They go from the meet and greet to the write-up, and there's nothing there. There's no rapport. There is no connection. They're just going off price and not paying attention to what the customer really needs. This is an exclusive sponsor, Dealer Elite, the most recognized automotive social network in the world. Go ahead and go to dealerelite.net, sign up now, and you can engage with the best and brightest in our industry. Also, sponsored is Street Volkswagen of Amarillo. Street Volkswagen of Amarillo's got the all-new Volkswagen ID4 all-electric vehicle. They're looking to electrify the world. So let me ask you a question. Does Subaru have an electric car?
No, we don't. I think Subaru's mentioned that by 2025, I know we're doing some partnerships with Toyota technology-wise to get into that market, but not yet.
I was looking the other day. I can't remember if it was Automotive News or something. They were talking about how electric vehicles by 2030 is going to be more than the combustion engines. They're going to stop by 2030, but Toyota is going to go all the way till 2050. Man, I'm going to be so old I won't even be able to drive. But Toyota, so we're gonna push it out till 2050. Now it may change throughout the years, but you have Tesla. Tesla's doing a great job with their futuristic electric cars. And actually, Elon Musk came and looked at the new Volkswagen ID4, and he was like, "Man, this is top notch. I like it. I think it's gonna be really good." You know, Volkswagen tried to do the all diesel engines, and everybody knows what happened there. So now they're trying to go in all electric. You know, it seems like everybody in my dealership wants to buy an ID4. I'm still old school. I'm going to go with the gas combustion engines for right now. But you never know. Everybody's coming around. It's bringing a lot of traffic. Seeing a lot of them on the highway now. And, great market, great product. But I'm sticking with my gas engines right now. I know I'm going to be paying some fuel costs, because of this whole presidency and what's going on. I think I could suck it up for the next couple of years, but this industry is never going to change. You remember, was it back in the 80s, late 80s? In 1985 was the first Back to the Future, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then they made the second one, which was they really went to the future, and that's where the hoverboard came, and then they had the flying cars, and they said by 2015 we would all be in flying cars, right?
Yeah.
I've yet to see a flying car. I don't know about you. Is Wichita have flying cars? Wichita may have flying cars because of all those tornadoes that come through.
Maybe after the electrification cars, we'll go flying cars. This might be a really exciting time to be in the business.
Wichita has flying cars. Oklahoma City has flying cars. These tornadoes, they don't play around. And now, are they controlled by a human? No, it's controlled by human nature. So I'm right there with you. Let's just deal with the electric cars right now, and we'll worry about the flying cars later. But it's funny to see how things are going with automobiles, because I went to a car museum up in Michigan. It's called the Gilmore Car Museum, and I've seen some of these 1960 model cars. They look futuristic, and I'm like, thank God that didn't go where everybody wanted to go. They had the whole Jetson look with the whole glass over
canopy.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh, man, thank God that didn't kick off, because I couldn't see my parents driving a futuristic bubble car, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, this has been a great interview. Really enjoyed talking to you tonight, this morning, this evening, whatever. But I do have some other questions for you before we go. AJ, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish, and where are you trying to go with being in the automotive industry?
Yeah, eventually, I would like to be a GM. I'd like to run my own store. I think the position of a GM, you not only get to influence the culture, you get to establish a culture. And I think that going from that position, being able to establish a culture across the entire service sales platform, you've really got the ability to create something special. I know that definitely our general manager has done a great job with that, and really put forth the power in us team leaders to help navigate and help mitigate the challenges that have come up against everything for us. And I look forward to that. The time comes that I am in that position. It's going to be exciting, but that's my next step career wise, would be to run my own store and create magic again, create a team, and take great care of people.
So another question, when you read something, learn something, train yourself, train your mind to become a great leader, great influencer, do you read a book, read a Kindle, or do you listen to it on Audible?
I definitely do on my iPad, and I do a lot of audiobooks.
Who are you listening to now on audio?
Right now, I'm listening to the investment advice book by Tony Robbins. I can't remember can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. You put me on the spot. Tony Robbins helped put together an investment advice book for first-time investors in the stock market, and he basically just went to all the experts. And it's a really great read. I wish I could remember the title of it off the top of my head. Been listening to that to and from work.
Have you read his book Awakening the Giant?
I actually listened to Awakening the Giant. Yeah, he's really good when you listen to his audiobook.
Have you read Tony
He's got a
Robbins'
very-
book Awakening the Giant?
I sure have. Yeah.
Man, that I bought the book. It's worn out, used, big, thick. When he had his hair all parted back, book. Great book. And I also listen to the Audible because I have an hour drive to and from work. So I listen to the Audible also. But another one, if you want to be motivated and if you decided, hey, I'm going to make excuses on why I can't do this, why I can't do that. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, is another great book. Talk about his life, talk about him growing up as a child, getting into the military, killing cockroaches, weighing over 300 pounds to becoming a badass in his own realm is a great book too. For some of you out there that don't read, you can also, and I'm picking up a book, is Grant Cardone's The Closer's Survival Guide. It's a great book too if you want to learn how to close deals, how to close customers. And also, he don't sell these in the bookstores, but these are for managers. The Dealer's Guide to Recovery and Growth in Today's Market by Joe Verdi. This was a book that I was never supposed to have when I was a salesman. They told me, do not pick it up, do not open it, and do not read. Not only did I pick it up, not only did I open it up, but I read every page in this book about everything that a manager should know. It says guarantee your growth year after year with Joe's step-by-step guide for every dealer and manager team. And the good thing about this is, yeah, some of this stuff is old school, but you can implement it to being new school. You can make it your own. You can make it your own and become successful. So I read books. I don't have a Kindle. I don't have an iPad. I do listen to Audible and I do listen to podcasts. A lot of good people out there in the podcast. I can name a couple of podcasts that you can subscribe to. One is the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast by yours truly, and the Manager TO podcast. Those are two great podcasts you can listen to every day and every morning going to and from work. But last but not least, I know it's late and you got some little ones. Who are your role models, people of influence, who you look up to?
Definitely my father. My father, he instilled quite a bit in me, and he totally outside of the sales industry. My father did construction, but he had the same mindset. He was a leader. He was a management, but he always looked out for his people. He always knew that, you are the sum of the people that you lead. And you building them up, build yourself up. The taught me definitely how to be a man, how to be a father. That's definitely the number one influence in my life.
I think that's what your number one job has to be, is become a good father. If you could be a good father and a good leader to your children, not only are you leading them into success in their own life, but you're showing them what a true leader should be once they grow up and start playing sports, graduating, going to college, getting their own job, becoming their own father. That your first step is to train your children, to counsel, to coach before you can even do that to a team of individuals with so many different personalities, so many ethnic, um, with religion, with color. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do or where you came from. Everybody can have the same goal, same mindset, and same whatever in the world that they want to do. But it has to start by doing it with your children. Unfortunately, I was too young and naive at the time, when I was 21, to listen to my father, and I lost him when I was 21, to understand how to be a good father, how to be a great leader. I just remember uh, looking at him, knowing that he worked hard driving a truck every single day for 42 years to provide for his family. So I always give my hats off to truck drivers, even though they get in my way going to work. But I know that they are providing for their family also, and they work pretty hard. So I learned that from my father, and there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think, what would he do and how would he do it to become a better father myself and to be a better leader in whatever industry that I'm in. So, besides your father, who else do you look up to?
In my business, our ownership is we've got a really good ownership group, and we've got a really good general manager at my store. Our general manager is actually very similar age to me. Um, he's been really impactful on who I am as a person. He's a big part of why I'm where I'm at, and mindset wise. When I first came into the dealership, I mentioned earlier that I had to move from Lawrence to Wichita. My wife for quite a few years dealt with some health issues. We've gone through a couple kidney transplants, dialysis, hospital stays, all sorts of things. And I couldn't have asked for better leaders above me when I was in that position that I knew had my back at any point in time, and took care of me. I mean, I looked at work during that point in my life as kind of a place that I could go, that everything that was going on outside of work could stay outside of work, and I could go produce, and I could go concentrate on the one thing I had control of, which was make money to take care of my family. And those guys did a great job. You know, that's a big influence.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. And AJ, it's great to have you on the show. We're in it for a minute 25 or an hour and 25 minutes. I think our listeners has gotten a great idea of who you are and what you represent. What at closing statement do you have for the guys out there that are listening, that are in the automotive industry? What kind of advice can you give them if they're thinking, man, this may not be for me? What can you do to help them out and reassure them that, man, you're making a right decision and you can survive and you can make it in the car business?
I really believe that if your heart's in it and you want to make it in the car business, you can make it in the car business. You could go out like you and I did and not have, a trainer or somebody that really cared in your first go around, and go out and find the information yourself. But also, I want those guys to say, if you look around you at a car dealership, even though you may not have a great manager, or maybe don't have a great team leader, maybe don't have a trainer, you have great examples. There are success examples that you just pulled from. Take from this guy, take from that guy. And at the end of the day, this business isn't for everyone. And some people have to understand that. But if you're looking for something that you can do, that you can hold your head up high, that you can take good care of people, that you don't have to have 10 years of college, and you can go out there and you can provide an excellent life for your family, and really, like you said earlier, unlimited growth potential in this job. The car business is a fantastic place to do it.
It is. It is 100%. And, guys, it doesn't matter if you're a green pea salesman to a veteran to a manager or a dealer principal or a GM. This is going to be the industry for you if you make it as your own. And I couldn't be anywhere in this world if it wasn't for the automotive industry. And, my next step is, maybe a GM, maybe a trainer, maybe becomes some kind of influencer, but I want to give back to help these younger guys, help these people that are just getting into the industry, to show them that, man, the sky is the limit when it comes to selling cars. The sky is the limit when it comes to making money. And the only way you're going to be able to do it is if you put your mind to it. Have that crap attitude, communication, respect, attitude, and a positive mindset. That being said, I want to thank everybody for being and listening to the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast. Our guest today was AJ Owens. He is a sales manager, trainer, influencer with Subaru of Wichita, Kansas. Now, if you're anywhere near the Wichita, Kansas area and you just want to buy a Subaru, look up AJ. Go over there and talk to him. Shake his hand and say, hey, bud, man, I really appreciate that podcast and all the things that you said. I'm technically right now driving a Ram truck, but show me what you got in the Subarus. I may want to switch and do that. Go right ahead and find AJ. And AJ, if anybody ever wanted to get a hold of you, start following you, how would they be able to do that?
You can always email me at aowens@ridehomehappy.com. It's AOWENS. And look me up. I'm on our dealership's website. You can always look me up on Facebook. It's AJ Owens at Facebook.
Sweet. Well, AJ, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight, and it was a great pleasure. When you said, hey, I'd love to be on there, I was like, man, I got to get him on there. And I want to know what you have to say. I knew that you were in the car business, but I didn't know how far you were in and what your position was. And, it's nice to have other people in the industry speak and tell their story and tell how they got into the car business. Because, we weren't born one day and go, hey, I'm going to be in the car business. We actually, things happen and got us there. So appreciate you being on. I believe that our roads will cross again. Our path will cross again one day.
They do every 20 years, I think, Ron. Thanks for having me, man.
And I do want to dedicate this show to the late Larry Busby Sr. He passed away a couple of weeks ago, and our hearts go out to Deborah and Larry Jr. Buzzsaw. I know this is kind of hard for you guys, but I do, since you got two of your best buds on the show, I want to dedicate this show to you two and let you guys know you are in our hearts and our thoughts. And if there's anything that you need from AJ or I, you always know you can give us a call. You have our numbers. And just if you need to talk, if you need a laugh, or you just need to cry, we're there for you.
Yes, we are.
AJ, I appreciate you.
Ron, I love what you're doing, man.
We'll be talking soon. We'll do another show with you and touch base again. But until then, we are out. Thank you for listening, guys.